Mabuhay, this is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea, a channel for marriage-minded men. Do you look for someone to marry that you can love, or someone to marry that will love you? That's the topic for today. Please subscribe and get notifications for upcoming videos. I just got out of the shower. That's why my hair looks wet. I have to hurry up and make this video. I want to talk about marrying to give love rather than receiving love. We all want to have love. It's nice to be loved, but there's this thing about the need to give love in order to get love. I don't know how that makes you feel. Hopefully it doesn't make you feel very uncomfortable. That's just the way life works. You've heard it said, you know, you have to give to receive, and we'll talk more about that later. I think that applies to love in marriage. Now, one time years ago, I heard a woman at work say that her reason for wanting to have a baby was for the love of a child. I think she meant to feel love from the child, for the child to love her throughout life. And I think that's a bad reason to want to have a baby. You should want to have a baby so you can love the baby. And if you do that well, that baby, years and years and years down the road, most likely will love you. I kind of feel the same way about this when it comes to marriage. There has to be a lot of give and take. The person you marry wants love too. And we need to learn how to love if we expect love. Now, a lot of times when you're younger, single, alone for a long time, you don't really do things that could help you to be selfless and do things for the good of others without receiving anything in return. But let's say volunteering for something would be one way of doing that, some way of serving others. There are people who say, well, I'm alone, I don't have anything to do, just come home from work and watch TV, eat by myself, I'm always by myself. And so they don't feel loved, they don't feel very fulfilled. But if they went out, instead of focusing on themselves and started to love others and care for others, they would feel a lot less alone and a lot more fulfilled. I think just trying to marry someone so you can be loved, we all want to be loved, but if that's the main reason so you can be loved, probably not going to be loved very long in marriage. Luke 6:38, I tried memorizing that last time and I forgot. So that's in the Bible, Luke 6:38. It says, give and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over will be poured into your lap. For the measure you use, it will be measured back to you. This is talking about giving and receiving. And basically you will get back more than you give. And that should be exciting for us. And it's talking about not their giving to God, you know, when they pass the offering plate around, it's talking about giving to mankind, people. And so I think this applies to marriage, if that's your perspective when you get married. So it's important to be prepared to meet needs and be unselfish in marriage by serving others, and realizing when you get married, if you want to receive love, you should be giving love. Even Philippians 2 verse 3 says that we are to esteem others as better than ourselves. That's a good verse when you're going to get married, because selfishness will destroy a marriage. Being unselfish will help you to get the love that you want. Now, when I got married back in 2015, very quickly, after being alone a long time, we got married in less than 8 weeks. From the time I winked at her from the dating site, Christian Filipina, to the time we got married was 54 days. So I had some vacation. I ran up there in a hurry. We got married. That was 10 years ago. We're still married. And although we got married fast, probably got married too fast for me to think about being loved. And that was never a big reason for me to want to get married. Because if I'm lonely and I'm miserable, and I expect people to make me feel better, then getting married is only going to make my wife lonely and miserable, because I don't want to marry somebody for them to be taking care of my emotional needs. I wanted to be married so I can have a relationship, and I expected as the leader of the marriage, which I think the men are, that I'm going to have to lead the way with my giving, my sacrifice, loyalty, all of those things. I needed to be a leader by example if I wanted for her to love me. Obviously, you don't want to be unlovable. And if you are unselfish and you're forgiving, chances are that's what you are going to get in return. I've always felt that as a Christian, the person I marry can't meet all my needs. Only God can. Only God can. So, especially if you're a believer and you get married, don't expect your wife or husband to meet all your needs. That's impossible because they are not God. But you have the ability to do the best you can to meet the needs of your spouse and be unselfish and put them first. Not the end of the world if you put them first. It doesn't mean that all is lost. It normally would mean that, unless you marry a scammer, you're going to get plenty in return for your giving. Marriage is a picture of Christ in the church, and he's the servant leader of his bride, the church, and Jesus is perfect and lived a perfect life, paid for the sins of the world, which he didn't have to do. He loved first. He loved first. And that's another thing that stuck with me. If I'm going to be married, I want to love my wife first. I want to set the tone and set the example. Now, there will be times that you don't get loved in return. You get mistreated, misunderstood. We all know that. And that is not a sign or a cue to stop loving. It's a sign to keep loving, because then it's going to carry even more weight when you are tested and you continue to love. Always best, I think, to love first. Get married with a desire to want to love more than to be loved. So let me know what you think about that, and leave a comment here on Love Beyond the Sea.